Good morning, good afternoon, Solar Warrior Tribe, Power Hitters, and Power Community. It is Tuesday, June 24th, and we're here for weekly team training. If you've got a win, start thinking about that. Would love to hear a couple wins from some people. Fun to see where everybody's coming in from around the country. Let me share my screen here. Share my screen. So we do this every Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific, noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. So everybody's welcome to listen in, to be a part of this. And we always like to start with some success stories. Maybe it's a project that you closed, you got a referral, you signed up a new setter got an appointment, you got an ambassador signed up, you had a commission payment. So 30, 60 seconds, no more than that, but would love to hear what is happening in your business. So who's got, you can raise your hand, you can come off mute and share something that's going on. Rick, you're up first.
Yeah, I'll take the lead here because I just closed the deal, so it's fresh. So just closed the deal with a buddy of mine up in Kernville, California, and it was on with him and his wife, and now they want to do their home in PV as well, Palos Verdes. So it's a 2-for-1. It's my second 2-for-1. I had a 2-for-1 last week as well. I think that puts me at 6 deals for the month. So I think the takeaway is, as some of you may know, like I haven't been selling at all these last couple of years. Mostly what I do is team build and business development and all this. And as soon as I kind of put it out there to the universe, to my network, let it be known that I'm, with the urgency here that, I'm going to focus on selling a little bit here. And as soon as I did that, like the phone just started ringing. So I guess, like we say, we've said previously, don't be a solar secret agent. Like, put it out to your network, let everybody know the urgency. So this conversation with my buddy and his wife today, they had no idea. They had no idea that they could do this with zero money down. They kept saying, "Well, where's the catch? So how much does it cost?" I'm like, "Nothing. It's a bill swap." And so it just kind of dawned on me, like, wow, this whole time I could have just educated them, and I waited till now to do that. Better late than never, but yeah, just put yourself out there to the network, let everybody know the urgency, and there's no reason why we all can't have the biggest, 2, 3, 6 months we've ever had.
Cool, cool. Still got it, right? Still
I
got it.
still got it. I didn't forget how to ride the bicycle.
That's awesome, man. Bill Conley, Bill Conley, my Stockton buddy.
That's right. That's right. Well, I want to say congratulations to Rick. That's great to see you back on the bike riding hard. And so I'm inspired now. I was fortunate to be at an install yesterday in Atwater, California, about an hour from me. And that installation was 8 weeks to the day almost from signing to installation. And that's a nice thing to know that we can have a reasonably good timeline here in California. And just got off the phone a little while ago with a roofing contractor in Northwest Virginia who's looking at coming onto the platform and offering solar as well as roofing. And we are somewhere in the process of maybe onboarding another solar installer in South Central California. So I'm anxious about that too. So it's coming. Get on the bike and ride hard is what I would say, right, Tom?
That's right. Good job, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, Atwater has. I'm fond of Atwater for a number of reasons. I had one day back there that I closed two 29 kW and then a 6 and a 7 kW, all like in the Atwater area. Same day, one call closes. So that was a fun day. Jose, what you got? I see your hand up there.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I just wanted to say, talking about the one sit closes. I met somebody at convention like 2 years ago, introduced myself, gave them my info. I totally forgot I'd met them, but they're a Spanish lead generator. And he's been throwing leads my way left and right. Some of them have been, they don't all close, but he linked me up with a real estate agent from Riverside County. and he reached out to his book of business. And of course, one of their clients did not want to pay $700 for their bill no more for AC. So we got on a call and we closed it in 45 minutes down there in Manistee.
Mhm.
And we looked at satellite view. Most of the neighbors have solar, but there's like 5 homes on the same street that don't. So that's the plan of attack. But you never know who you meet, and they will remember you and refer you. So this was a good one that kind of just landed in our pocket. So
Congratulations. Yeah, careful. Don't tell Carlos's team where that neighborhood is, because you got a whole room full of people who will go out and knock all those doors for the houses that don't have solar yet. Yep, go get him. Good job, Jose. All right, let's move on here. Got some announcements of things that are happening in the business here. So the first thing is there's a TPO workshop that happens a couple times a week. There's a sales success lounge that happens a couple times a week. Those have now merged, and they are every Tuesday and Thursday, 11 p.m. Pacific. So that's the TPO and sales success workshop. So just make a note of that. Powur calendar should be all updated now. I looked earlier and it was. Moving forward, Wednesday is the next Powur Up handoff for setters. So make sure that if you are a setter or you have setters that you brought into the business, that they are on that Wednesday event and also on the Monday Powur Up launch. They can attend that even if they haven't done their 20-minute certification in Powur University. It's great if they have, but this is a great first step for them to get oriented about what solar is exactly, what we do exactly, and how to approach homeowners and conversations and things like that. So great training that Monty is doing twice a week, in addition to the Setter Surge events that we are doing twice a day, Monday through Friday, and then once on Saturday. So powercalendar.com is where you can find all the information for all of those events and even more, including market development meetings, things like that. 26th, so 2 days away, Jonathan Bernasso and a number of other leaders are doing an event at 1 p.m. Pacific online. It's on Zoom, and it's called Updates for Real Estate on Solar Energy and Beyond. So that's a great thing that you can invite your people to as well. And the last thing that I'll mention here on the calendar is Craig Bloom, who works pretty closely with Bill Conley, who's on this call, along with Bobby Smith, Charles Thompson, and Gary Lang, are putting on an event in the Baltimore, Maryland area, specifically in Dundalk. That is an event that even if you're not in that local area, you can invite setters, salespeople, real estate professionals, roofers, HVAC, other solar contractors. You can invite them to that event that starts at 10 a.m. on the 28th, which is this coming Saturday. You can find more information at localsolarevent.com. That's my domain that just redirects to the Eventbrite listing just to make it a little bit easier to share with people. Fix that for you there.
Where was that website again, Tom?
Localsolarevent.com should take you there, or if for some reason it's not directing you there, you can just look on Eventbrite for Baltimore area stuff. Next, I wanted to talk about the Powur Weekly Calendar, and I've got a few things to mention from that. I can just pull up my notes here. Solar, a big update, I guess, for the solar tax credit. Nothing's been decided yet, but I'll mention that this morning that we got word that the bill language was, there's updated bill language that could be released in the next 24 to 48 hours. Possibly as early as this afternoon. So it's important for each of you people who are on this call right now and who will be listening to it later, to reach out to your senators and to make it clear how essential the tax credits are to your business and to residential solar across the country. I will put a link in the chat that you can go and visit that will tell you exactly what to say to your senator. I did it this first thing again this morning. It's a pretty great website that helps you send an email to your senators. You can call your senators and your representatives, and it will give you tweets to post on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. So it was good stuff. Senator Curtis is expected to introduce some language that would phase down 25D, the tax credit for cash and loans, rather than eliminate it immediately. And so we need really every voice in the industry, consumers that care as well, that encourage senators to stand behind the forthcoming amendment expected to be released by Senator Curtis. So your calls, your emails could really help, make the difference between pushing this over the finish line to get these tax credits more of a glide path rather than a cliff for us. That would be a great thing. So other than calling your senators, make sure you're calling every lead, help them lock in current incentives that we know exist right now. And there's some other market updates. Make sure you read the Powur Weekly that's in your inbox. It comes out every week, but I'll mention a couple. Massachusetts pricing drops. So pricing is down 15 cents a watt in Massachusetts. So we've got a stronger value there. Leverage that to re-engage and to close any stalled proposals. In California, going from East Coast to West Coast, we've got a site survey upgrade. So direct to installer site survey scheduling is now live. So you now control the timing. We now control the timing, which speeds up payment to M1 and confirmation steps. So nationwide rollout is coming. California is the test case for that. All right, let's get back here to our regularly scheduled programming so that we can get to Carlos and his people that are hanging out, waiting to talk to us. I wanted to share a video that I think is a reset. So when I watch reels on Facebook, Instagram, I'm always thinking about things that I think would be interesting to share with you all. This was an interesting one. If you ever have realized that your brain jumps to a worst case scenario, this is for you today. You give a presentation and you have this thought afterwards, oh, they're probably just going to sign with somebody else, or this isn't going to work, or I'm going to mess up this pitch at the door. Those negative thoughts that sometimes come and we think that they are, normal sometimes. So that voice can get louder the more pressure that we're under, and sometimes it feels automatic. But what if that's not just a habit? What if we could shift it without pretending everything's perfect, but we could just start seeing things from a different perspective, a different angle? And this video, Janine, you're going to recognize immediately who this is. This video is a simple way to catch that spiral in our heads. So watch this with me.
I do the doom and gloom where I go to worst case scenario all the time. I do have a really hard time with like things I can't control. I always think something like I'll see a set of stairs and I'm going down them and I'm like, I'm going to fall and break my neck and die. I go worst case scenario with everything. I do this in the middle of the night. I do it when I wake up in the morning, and I try so hard to come out of it and just not go there. But it feels like the older I get, the more I do this.
It's only because it's a habit. Do you want a prompt to stop you from doing it?
Please.
The next time you catch yourself doing that, and this is super common, because thinking patterns are a lot like sunglasses. If you put on a darker pair of sunglasses, it just tints everything. If you put on rose, it tints everything rose. And so think about your mindset or your thinking patterns as a lens through which everything is viewed. And so the next time you catch yourself doing the doom and gloom, and let's just go back to the singing. What if I put out a song and it really flops? And what if I'm really embarrassed? And what if I'm not as good as I think? I want you to catch yourself, and that's the hard part. The hard part is catching yourself. So I want to acknowledge the fact that you know that this is an issue. And so that's the hardest part for most of us. So great job. Second thing is we've got to interrupt that negative thinking pattern, because the nature of patterns is this. Patterns repeat.
Yeah.
And you can't just break a pattern. You have to replace it with something else. And so what we're going to replace the doom and gloom with is this. You're just going to say these words. It has changed my life to say, what if it all works out?
Yeah.
What if it all works out? What if taking a risk and going for music all works out? What if the first song is a flop, but it actually all works out?
Yeah. Right.
And what happens is this. First of all, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We don't know that you're going to like fall down the stairs. We don't know if your singing career is going to fail or it's going to succeed. So either the positive or the negative is an unknown. It's all a fantasy.
The unknown is what makes me spiral, though.
Right. But you're actually trying to create control by assuming the worst.
Yep.
If you're going to do that, why not assume the best?
Yeah.
And here's why it's really important to start saying, what if it all works out? The reason why it's super important is because your mindset does matter. And if you believe it's not going to happen, if you believe it's going to be terrible or hard or this or the other thing, you're more likely not going to do it. And you're going to start bracing, because the more that you're up in your head ruminating and dooming and glooming and all that stuff, you're triggering your nervous system to go into fight or flight, which for a lot of us then creates procrastination, and it also increases your inner critic. This is all research, by the way, I cover in the Let Them Theory book. And the let them, and saying, what if it all works out, is something that you can put in the place of the spiral, because the truth is you don't know.
Right.
And if you can start to convince yourself, what if it all works out? Now you're starting to train yourself for a mindset called realistic optimism. And all that realistic optimism is this belief that through my attitude and through my behavior, I can create a positive impact on anything. And the fact is you can.
So I want you to type in the chat, just because I want you to help you remember this. I just want you to type in the chat, what if it all works? What if it all works out? And the next time you catch yourself going to that doom and gloom place, say to yourself, what if it all works out? What if it all works out? And to give yourself a shot to think about yourself, think about that situation differently. All right, I hope that was interesting for a few of you. And I've got a social media shareable here that I also wanted to put in the chat that relates to the tax credit. So since Bernasso is out today, I wanted to create another one for you. Oh, we still got people putting in their stuff here. So there's the image. There is the text that you can put onto your social. It's just about the solar tax credits and just creating urgency around people to reach out to you to find out if solar works for their home or not, while the 30% tax credit is definitely still here. And also that same link where they can call their senators. So hopefully that is helpful for you. And again, that is in the chat so that you don't have to try to copy it down off the screen. Rick, you don't have a bird on your shoulder this week. Up there in the corner. Hey,
I had him on in the beginning of my sales call just before this.
Okay.
I figured it's the perfect icebreaker on any Zoom sales call.
Yes.
Little hack, get yourself a cockatiel for your Zoom calls.
Yes, I wanted to pass the mic over to you to introduce somebody who's going to be sharing with us today.
Yeah, I'm so glad we did that mindset video, Tom, because that's literally the perfect lead in for Carlos. Because if I were to lead with one thing about Carlos, it's his mindset. So yeah, I've recruited, as you know, like hundreds of sales reps to this platform, and very few have had what Carlos has, which is the mindset, the talent, and the hunger all wrapped into one. So he's the perfect avatar, not only for the platform, but for the industry, right? He does things with integrity. He's hungry as hell, and he has the talent to back it all up. So this is a guy he won't say it because he's too humble, but he's made over $1 million per year in solar for 3-4 years now, like multiple times. He's accomplished that. So he's run the 4-minute mile a number of times. He's sold over 400 deals per year, like 4 years in a row. So this is a guy who has the credentials to back it all up, and he's humble about it, and he has the right mindset. And so, yeah, I think he's probably probably my favorite recruit that I've ever recruited, to be honest. So, and I'll introduce him by maybe Carlos, if you could start and you could tell the story how we met in that coffee shop a few months ago and where you were at in your business, in your industry when we first started talking, and what lit you up in that conversation, and where we went from there during that conversation, and where you are now, bro. Because it's been a pretty lofty trajectory. But again, this is you. This is what you do. This is who you are. So of course you're on stage in a matter of months. Of course you're, the featured trainer for the meeting. Of course, because this is you. You do you. So, yeah. All right, brother, take it over. We're so glad to have you part of the family. Like, you're one of the leaders for sure.
Rick, I appreciate that. Tom, can you guys hear me? Sorry, I'm mirroring the screen and up here. So you guys can hear me correct?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tom, that was a good video. I think the mindset, like, just to kind of follow what Rick was saying, I think the mindset is important. I think for us that have been in different industries and just getting into the solar industry, or even been in the industry for a while and don't have the correct mindset, I think will definitely make you go in different line. You choose the wrong path, right? And I think for myself, I chose the wrong path, and which is why now I'm in alignment and why I love who I'm working with and what I do so much. I think at some point or time, we all have to fall on our face. And I did. So is that me? No.
Somebody was
kind of just, for us that are in the industry, or just to kind of getting into the industry, I guess, to talk about the sauce, or kind of just introduce myself like what Rick was saying. I've been in the solar industry for 13 years. I actually started off installing solar for REC before, the group of guys that we know turned Sunrun public, changed the name of what it was. I was an installer. I was slapping panels on the roof. I got promoted to be a lead, to bend conduit, to do panels and X, Y, and Z. And it just wasn't what I wanted. I didn't have the correct mindset. I got over to another company out of Sacramento who was only based in California. And I didn't have a mentor as I do now, Rick, right? The guy just said, hey, here's an iPad, go collect someone's utility bill. And I was like, well, what the hell does that mean? What do I do with that? And he's like, just try to cut the utility bill in half. That's the goal. And I was like, okay. So all I have to do is just go knock on doors and talk to people about cutting the bill in half. And he's like, yeah, bro, that's it. Okay, great. Well, I didn't know what the hell that meant, how it worked. So I went on YouTube and I started Googling some things. And, I come across a couple of guys who said how to do it, where to do it. And I kind of put their sauce and I made my own. And I went out in the field and I knocked doors from 10 in the morning to about 7, 8 o'clock at night for probably 30, 60 days straight. And then I noticed that nothing was working. It wasn't, I failed. I fell on my face. Came home, looked at the videos, and I just kind of went back and forth, and I kept trying to do different things until I just said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I called my old guy and I was like, hey man, I'm done with this. He goes, no, you're not. You're doing the wrong things here and there. So go out for 30 days straight. Start at 8 in the morning and don't come home till 8:30 at night, and use this simple pitch. And I said, okay. He said, if you don't make 10 grand, if you don't make X amount of money in 30 days, I'll write you a check for 10 grand, shake your hand, and not talk to you again. And I said, well, that's BS. Let me see the money now. He goes, no. And long story short, he Zelled me 10 grand right then and there. And it knew like, okay, somebody believes in me. I just didn't have the correct mindset. I didn't believe in myself, right? I went out and did it. And that first month I cleared $64,000. I think I closed 32 or 30. I forget. I have it on a spreadsheet, but I think it was 32 or 33 deals my first month of just actively, correctly putting my head down and focusing in the right way. Then I kind of got hungry for more, and I wanted to kind of see how else I could do it. I went out and just kind of knocked doors for a while. I mean, I did it for probably 6 to 12 months straight. And that was starting in June 1st. I think I made $236,000 my first 6 months. And my wife and I looked at each other like, what the hell? That's a lot of money, right? Taxes came around and we needed to find somebody to do our taxes because TurboTax wasn't obviously able to hold that kind of money anymore. So I found an accountant and he's like, long story short, Carlos, you owe $63,000. And I was like, what the hell? Like, that's more money than people make in a year. I don't have that money. I didn't save it. I didn't know what to do. I came from an installer. Now as a 1099 employee, I didn't know how to save money. I didn't know. So my wife and I put our heads down. I went and knocked doors and I came up with the money, started a trash account, and started all these things. But what really got me going is, Rick, I think I told you this story, is probably a year later, I was still by myself and I was in an appointment. Long story short, my Ring camera came on and my wife was at home with their 2 kids. 20 minutes later, it comes off again and she texted me and said, look at your camera. And I was like, well, I'm in a meeting, but I'll look after her. Follow that meeting. This kid was trying to pitch my wife solar and she had 2 babies in her arms, and the kid had his 15 to 20 minute pitch under one breath. And I was just like, babe, get his number. So she's like, I got his card. So long story short, I called him. He wasn't trained properly. He wasn't with the right guy. So he was me when I first started. So that set me back and made me slow down and say, okay, let's re-elect here. Let's figure out how, where, and how we can have an alignment and keep it straight, but making sure we do it with the right things and making sure we're doing it with the right people. So I text my guy who got me into it and I said, screw you, but thank you for teaching me everything you did. Now I'm going to do it. And thank you for bringing me where I'm at. So what that taught me is nobody taught me how to knock doors. Nobody taught me to save money. Nobody taught me how to go out and do all the things that the solar industry can do in the right ways, not the wrong ways. Everybody said it's only money. Everybody says it's only knocking doors. They don't tell you that you're here to help somebody save money on their utility bill. There's been homes that I've been to that people just honestly can't even pay their utilities. They actually got them shut off because they couldn't afford it. So we are actually helping somebody, right? So not only helping customers, I've then took what that kid taught me. I recruited him. He was my first recruit. He is now in Florida somewhere. I think he has 3 or 4 different businesses. And what I did with him is I took everything that I was not taught and I put it together and I made my own sauce. And I said, look, man, I'm going to help you fast track everything that I tried doing. It didn't work, but now I have a sauce that I can literally hand you. If you come with me, we'll make money together and help people out. And he did it. We went knock doors for 6-8 months straight. I think his first year, he cleared like $300 something thousand. And he just kind of went off and we both team built forever. I mean, we were team building together. I think I had a total of 72 reps my next 6 months. We went and knocked doors. It wasn't the solar bros, but it was still team building. I can honestly say that now in my 13 years of experience that all it takes is for you to fall, for you not to get taught. It's just, there's so many different ways I can say, kind of go on with this conversation. But like Rick said, I'm hungry. It's the integrity. I want to help somebody. And if I can help somebody else make X amount of money and change their life, that's what I'm here to do. And Powur gives us everything to do that, right? If I die tomorrow, I know that I can say that I helped and touched 15 people, 20 people, change their lives. Hopefully they go to my funeral and say the same thing, but I honestly, that's where my integrity, that's where I come from. Like, not how many deals I can do anymore. 350 plus deals a year was pretty tough, pretty rough. It was fun, don't get me wrong, great money. But I think for where I sit with Powur and just Tom and, John Budd and just having the culture, my goal is to have 250 guys underneath my belt and making sure that they all close a deal and have all the ability and the education that I can bring them to make millions of dollars, not necessarily in the solar industry, but in the business industry, what the solar teaches us. I think if everybody can do it, I think if everybody gets comfortable with getting uncomfortable, keeping your alignment, keep it in selling with integrity, I think it's pretty easy. I've done it before. I climbed Mount Everest and I had a couple rocks and milestones to jump over. I'm pretty much starting over. I came to Rick March 11th and pretty much said, F you, man, I don't really want this meeting, but I'll sit in it anyway. I actually fell on my face about 6 months before that. I had a solar company that just went to shit. Excuse me, went to crap. And I made millions of dollars for 4 or 5 years straight. And it sucked. Where'd the money go? I have a beautiful home, I have beautiful kids, a beautiful wife. But I wasn't doing it with integrity. I was kind of just doing it just to do it. Say, hey, I can make as many sales. Hey, I can sell you. Hey, I can sell you anything. I didn't really do it the right way. And when I met Rick, it was something about his handsome face that just said, hey man, this is a family. This is the culture we have and we can offer. And it woke me up. And I think my first week, I closed 7 deals. I recruited 13 people. I had 2 enterprises. I think that's it. But it's what Rick tells me all the time. It's do what you say and, or how do you say it, Rick? It's do what you will. Rick, you're going to have to touch on that for a second because I can't.
Do what you say and say what you do. And
Yeah.
by the way, those stats were for 1 month, not 1 week. So don't overinflate it.
Sorry. Right. So,
but still, that was a hell of a first month. Yeah.
It's still impressive.
Yeah.
It's still impressive.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is I fell on my face and I pretty much blamed solar. I pretty much said, F this, F that. And, I really had to gather myself. Chris, I hope you're on here. I started getting into cold plunging and it really helped me. I found who I was and, the mindset. It really took me down to figuring out where I was and where I started from and going back to my roots. And it did. I've been on the doors darn near every single day with my crew. I think I have a total of 22 people here in the field that are on the ground, at least 3 to 5 days knocking doors. And my goal for them is to help them make $1 million in a year in solar. And I think it's totally, right now it's crucial. We have 6 months for the tax credit. So I think every bit of 6 months is nothing but putting our head down and just getting to it. Yeah, I'm trying not to get emotional because I think these guys are behind me and I'm feeling the pressure behind them and feeling the pressure from you guys. I could sit here and literally cry. I mean, from where I first started to where I am now. I don't want to say I've made it to the top yet, but I feel like once our team and all of us together make it to the top, I feel like I can sit back and say, yes, I did my job. Like I'm here. My job is done. So, I really appreciate everybody on the call. I really appreciate all you guys like letting me speak. And, I think the only time I thought I was going to be on TV. Yes, Chris, I love it. I thought the only time I was going to be on TV is if I was ever going to go to jail. I really didn't know what I had, where I had in life. And now here I am able to speak in front of you guys, just kind of sharing my story. And I think everybody has their own way of doing things. Hopefully it's from integrity and, from your heart. I think now if for what I know now, back in the day, it would have been a lot different, but everybody has to fall on their face and start somewhere. So I'm here to tell you, like, Powur strong and ready to make some money and kick some butt out in the field and help another person.
Love it, man. From those who are on the couch in the back, any nuggets that you picked up that you think the rest of us could benefit from? Can be about knocking.
I'm sitting next to 2 legends, so I'm somewhat new to the industry also. My name is Mitchell. I'm Central Coast, California, and I started this solar coaster 7 years ago with Legacy. And then I came to Powur from Sunder is sort of most of this team that you see around us today. So I was one of the leads at Legacy and leads in Sunder. And I've experienced business to customer and business to business. So I've door knocked 40,000 houses in this region. And I've cold called probably all the businesses twice over from the yellow pages. So with me, I find Carlos and I don't look back. I see Ashley Warren sitting next to me on the couch. I just saw on Solar Saturday last week, and I missed out half of that. But for all these new recruits, it's a very exciting time to be in this industry. And with the tax credit going away, I think it's a time to double down. And meeting with Rick and seeing you guys, it's inspiring to know that Carlos is taking the direction of this company a way that I was upraised in the industry. And so to me, it's my background and my back door. I love living here. I love working here. And every day it's something new. So seller integrity is very important to me. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what's possible and shadowing and absorbing and being a sponge and unlearning some of my bad habits. I come with a lot of bad habits, but I'm very I guess humble in my approach. And my goal is to make $1 million with Carlos, and whether that means staying in the solar industry or not, it's to help as many people as I can while I'm in this business, and to do it through the Powur platform. It's really impressive to me. So I like that they have a knowledge base and I have access to 24/7 support, and kind of seeing what goes on in the upper echelon, because most of us have been setters in this industry and you don't always see from the bottom up, and it's a top-down scope. So it's nice to have eyes into what's actually going on behind the scenes for a change. So
Yeah.
that's just me personally, but I'm very excited for that. So my first week that I was training in Seller Pro, I probably took 3,000 screenshots just out of sheer glee, because that knowledge has been hidden from me for 7 years. So to have an opportunity to finally close my own deals lights a fire under my ass. So sorry for the French, but it's something very exciting to see. And then just the milestone credits and same day permits and PTOs being granted, it's all music to my ears, and it's confirmation I'm in the right industry at the right time right now. So I'm very excited to see what we can do here on the Central Coast, and to have Carlos as my mentor.
Love it. Rick, any comments there?
I would just say, this is a testament. Carlos, look at how many lives you're changing. You've changed and you still are changing. And your people love you, and they love you for a reason, right? Like, this is what we all see in you, bro. And it's just, you're the perfect avatar that we look for when we kind of want to create leaders within Powur. And if you do the right things for the right reasons, you can do well while doing good. And I know you and I have talked a lot about, your approach in terms of sales. And, a lot of these guys have come from companies where it's really about jacking up the price, maxing out the price per watt, not really focusing on what's good for the customer, just trying to make a home run every single time, making 20 grand on a 6 kW, like all the cancerous behavior of the industry, which has led us to, this kind of reset. And here we don't do things that way. We want to create win-wins. And so you now hold that integrity for your team. And you've shown these guys a different way to be in the world, a way of integrity where you can still make plenty of money. And actually, you'll probably make more money in the long run because you're doing things the right way. You're creating, good energy in the world. You're creating referral partners, all of that. So this is super important, bro. Like, you've picked up the baton, like you talked about earlier. You hadn't always done things the right way, or you've fallen on your face. You had to learn yourself. You had to learn the hard way. And now you've taken all those lessons of hard knocks over 13 years, and here you are, and here's your team. And so I could not be more proud of you. And yeah, bro, the sky's the limit. This is $1 million summer for you, bro, for sure. 6 months to crush it, and then even after that, man, like next year is still gonna, maybe it's a little bit of a reset year, but we'll see. But right now, it's game on, like blinders on, and let's just go get it. So that's all I got. Tom, you got anything you want to add, brother?
Tom, I'm going to add to that just for a sec. So you're right, Rick. It is, $1 million month or $1 million year. It's kind of the biggest thing of kind of going back to where I was is I'm not going to go and say the company or say the names, but it doesn't really matter. It's just, we have the ability from the 4.0 launch. The Powur allows you to bring anybody on the platform at any way, right? Simple click of a button, send a link. But what Rick was just saying is like, we don't just want anybody on our team. If we have to sell it to somebody, if we have to tell somebody, do not max out the price per watt, or sell a customer and tell them this and just not give them false information, I don't want any of you on my team. I don't think any of us do as well. The biggest thing is, now that I've been recruiting and building teams, I started a social media. I'm not really a social media guy, but Rick and Powur and Jonathan Bernaus, everyone's really efficient on it. So like, okay, what the heck, I'll join the club. So I started doing so. I have probably 300 followers or friends or whatever you call it in the last, since March 1st, I literally signed up with Facebook again. And I've been getting asked by all these different solar guys, hey man, you're Carlos, you're back in the industry. Carlos, you're back with Powur, this and this. And I got asked a question last week, and I said, Carlos, what are your thoughts about the tax credit? And I said, I'm not really worried about it, man. I'm just trying to trying to put my head down for the rest of the year. And he said, yeah, great. He goes, you have a great leadership. And I said, thank you. He goes, but what happens if this and this happens? And I said, honestly, I have two of the best mentors. I'm not really worried about it. And I didn't need to say his name. I don't need to say their names. I don't need to get into it, because all these guys and people are worried about it. If you're worried about it, then you're with the wrong people. I have the best mentor I have ever come across in my life. Rick Joseph is my mentor. His guy, who he believes in, is Jonathan Budd. We all work underneath them. I do, at least. And you guys kind of trickle down. If we have them in our platform, then we have nothing to worry about. They will take care of us, right? We all put our head down if we kind of work as a family and just kind of make your money, do your thing for the solar industry for right now. They will tell and guide us in the right direction once this big, beautiful bill goes, down or back, whatever it is. So I think for me, what also allows me to continue to put my head down and teach and train guys like this, girls too, is that I have found my home. I found my family and I found my home. And I think that if you kind of change the direction of what you're currently doing, like with your recruiting guys or girls, like don't just hire anybody, but create a team that you want underneath you and have fun with it. I think I have, and that's why it's not a job for me. It's a career. It's a passion. Like I actually love what I do. Find your family, find your team. And once in Powur, we're here and we're here to help everybody and anybody. 100%. So I just want to definitely touch on, Rick, appreciating everything you've done for me. And just that you've helped me find a home for sure.
You found your tribe, brother, for sure. Yeah. And on that note, what's really cool, and as I told you this early on, is that one of the cool things about our community is you make alliances and friendships from people all across the country. You've got brothers and sisters in Massachusetts or North Carolina or Virginia or Florida or Utah or Texas. And so as testament to that, I see Ashley sitting in your living room. So yeah, Ashley, so maybe you could, there's something that attracted you to this tribe as well. You're not sitting in Carlos's living room by accident. So just real quick, would love to hear from you and your perspective and just kind of quick share. You wouldn't mind.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good there.
So yeah, we're not like even technically on the same team. Carlos and I spoke at Super Saturday or Solar Saturday, and we connected there. And I have done all phones. Everything's been virtual for me. I've actually never met a homeowner face to face. So I know a way that I want to scale my business is just to have more tools in my toolbox and more skills. And then eventually being able to train. So if I can dial really well, I knew I had to learn how to door to door. And that's where this guy came in. So he invited me out. I flew in yesterday? Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And I'll be here for a whole week. So I'm just hitting the doors with the boys. And I think I shadowed all yesterday, but probably we'll just step in and get into it. So yeah, no, I'm really excited to be here. And yeah, Powur's just the best. And you guys are the bomb. It's fun. Fun to hang out with the dudes.
That's the way you do it. This is how we create an ecosystem. I love it, Ashley. Thank you so much. I mean, it's a testament to us being able to form these relationships around the country and in some cases around the world. So this is beautiful. It's music to my ears to see. So,
Carlos, if somebody is here listening in about your success and what you're doing, or they're watching the recording later, and they're kind of in that spot where they're going through the motions, but they're not seeing much success, kind of like you when you first started out, knocking, talking, but not seeing many conversions. Are there a couple bits of advice that you could give them to kind of steer them to increase those conversions? Anything that you could share with them?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of a funny story. I think when out of high school, I went to apply to be a police officer. And one of the panels, when you have to do is you have to get plugged in, and they ask you different questions. It's a lie detector. So what I did to prepare for that, because my wife was in the industry prior to me, is I bought 10, 15, 20 different teddy bears that were pretty size from this big to this big to make it intimidating. They weren't going to talk back and they weren't going to judge me. So I made them dim the lights and I put them along my couch, and I just went through. So what I did for the police academy, is I went and I asked myself a question. I would just talk out loud. And what that did for me was it made me not get intimidated by the height, the look, the ugliness, the pretty, the colors people were, right? So fast forward to door knocking, I used to record myself. I used to go out in the field and I used to just put my phone in my pocket. I would do it for an hour. I'd go back to the car and I'd listen to how, what, and where in my tone. If I was speaking too fast, if I was doing all these different things incorrectly or good, and I would, go back, change it, record myself. I did it probably about 3 or 4 days of just recording myself and critiquing myself. There was nobody other than my wife who was going to critique myself more to make it better, right? Whether it's a pitch or whether it's getting correct responses. I think that if you were to buy a teddy bear and record yourself, whether how and what you want to say to the homeowner to get their attention, to get in the door or get them to a close. I guess I kind of refer that to knocking doors, but also on the call. We're all in the solar industry and we all know what the correct language of what to say to them to close and to get them more excited, right? The biggest thing is just how to get them engaged. It's about 7 to 15 seconds that you can either get somebody's attention or lose somebody's interest, right? What is going to be your catch to say to hype them up to want to hear you out? So I guess to answer that is just record yourself. Figure out what you are doing, listening to you speak and how you're speaking. Do it for an hour, do it for 20 seconds, do it for a couple minutes, and then listen to yourself. And then critique it. Write it down, write some bullet points. Go back and do it again. You don't have to leave the house. Chris, you don't even have to have pants on. You can stay at home and you can walk around the house. And that's for me. That's how I did it. I critiqued myself. And once I kind of found 3 good pitches that worked for me, depending on what situation each homeowners were on, I just ran with it. For me, it worked, right? I'm in the field in the daily training probably 5 to 7 different people or the same people every single day. And they're like, Carlos, your pitch is never the same. You're absolutely right, because every homeowner I'm going to talk to is different, right? Whether they have a 30-year-old aged roof, whether they're 80 years old, or whether they just bought the house. Like there's different ways and level of engagement that you need to have to be able to get their attention like this before they say, I'll call the next solar guy.
Hey, Carlos, real quick. I know Amber asked in the chat if you could share your door pitch.
Yeah.
So we did, you did do the Solar Saturday training, so that should be a knowledge base. So for anyone who wants like a more detailed, but maybe for a few minutes you can give, maybe not necessarily your whole pitch because maybe we don't have time, but some of the nuggets, like some of the opening lines, things that, can really get you in beyond that wall that people build up. What are some potential opening lines that you might say to get beyond the defense?
Absolutely. So I think I do have a couple minutes because I have an appointment at 11:30. But so the biggest thing, you knock on the door, and I see this all the time. Don't ever stand there like this. Don't ever stand there, because you're gonna set the tone of like you're here to be a security guard or a police officer or something, right? Stand this way, stand vertical, like you just knocked on the door. The door's here, and step back. The door is probably 4 or 5 feet. Step back, right? And then once they open the door, then you kind of turn and give them an attention. Hi, my name's Carlos. I'm in the area doing the Powur projects. You might have seen our trucks in the area. Yes? No? Okay, great. Well, what I'm here doing is just educating customers on the net metering program. Have you heard of it? And I actually have a slick that says like the rates, PG&E's rates from X, Y, and Z in the net metering, and I'll hand them the slick. And what I'm doing is giving them something that I'm just going to help explain it, right? What happened on June 1st is that PG&E increased the rates to 63 cents. So you're about here. So hypothetically, your bill was here, and they just increased it here by doing nothing. All I'm here to do is gather basic information to show you hypothetically if I can cut your bill in half or cut your rate lower from what it's currently at. Would it make sense? And like, well, how do you do that? I'm like, well, let me take you over to your main panel. Is it over here on the east or the west? I can actually show you what your bill was and what you're currently paying, and how hypothetically, if it was here, if I can bring it to here, would you allow me to come meet you and your spouse for a 20 to 30 minute consultation? And that is literally it. Literally, I get into his, that, whatever objections, whatever, but it's honestly, I hand them the slick, I introduce myself. I say I'm in the area. I'm doing the Powur projects, right? I don't say POWR, I say Powur projects. And then I just ask, have you seen our trucks in the area? Because most of the time they've seen a solar install, a PG&E truck, some sort of construction vehicle, and they don't know what it is, but it brings like, oh shoot, okay, it's level of engagement. They're like, well, this is kind of important, what it is that he's saying. And that's when I hand them the slip. What I'm doing is I'm creating not an urgency at all, but creating some kind of engagement with a yes answer, yes response. And then once they say yes, then I give them the slick, and then I use my hand gestures and I say, hey, hypothetically, if your bill was here already, $200, $300, and I can bring it here because PG&E just brought it here in the matter of seconds and minutes and days, would you say yes just to hear me out for 20 to 30 minutes? And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, why not? And again, like, that's it. I take them over to the meter to show them like, hey, I'm not making your monthly payment up, because on the meter, you can actually see how many kilowatts and kilowatt hours they're actually using today's date, as long as they have a smart meter, and tell them how we can help them spin that counterclockwise by getting X, Y, and Z. Amber, I saw that you can hear your pitch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's perfect. I like that opening line. I use the same formula with the rate increase and the slick, but that opening line, that's key. And then if I could bring it from here to down, would you hear me out? That's gold.
There's a couple of different things that I do. So like, I'm a very personal person, right? I make it funny. Like, they're like, oh, there's another solar guy that came over. I'm like, yeah, well, he's probably not as handsome as I am, right? Like, I always try to make it funny to be the different person. I don't do this anymore, but I used to wear neon green socks and like bright pink or bright orange or bright yellow shirts, so that when I was knocking up and down the street, people were like, oh, who is that guy? What is he doing? He's not a secret agent. But I wanted them to see me. I want them to see me, because when I'm knocking on your door, the information I'm going to share with you is super important. I would probably have an average of probably 3 or 4 signed deals in the same street every single place I was. And that was whether I was wearing the ugly clothes or I had a good pitch, but either way they signed.
Jesse's asking, what was that opening line again?
Hi, my name's Carlos. I'm working in the Powur projects in the area. Have you seen our trucks in the area?
Got it. Are you good? Are you good on time, Carlos? Did you say you had another call here?
I have an appointment at 11:30, but it's literally like 2 minutes from here. So I have a couple more minutes.
Okay.
Maybe we can do a little bit of Q&A. I know we're about at time. So for anyone that wants to stick around, maybe we could do a little bit of Q&A.
Yeah, I'm up for that if you guys are. Any questions? Everyone's thinking.
And if you're whoever else is listening on there too still as well, like if you ever have questions about like more in depth into the training or knocking or helping you just be encouraged to go, like I'll FaceTime you and do it with you. I have no problem going out with you daily and just kind of talking on the phone and helping you boost your energy level of why to do it. You know, it's if you're a homeowner in your area, you can knock your doors and your neighbors. You probably have a better rapport with them than another solar guy if you can knock doors. But the biggest thing to start off with is just knocking your neighborhood. Sorry, I have another guy here. Something. You're on Zoom with the entire team. Say hi.
Oh, right on.
Hi. Hey,
Hi.
Carlos, Ben here was asking, how do you tackle not interested right away?
Yeah, I love that one. So everybody that I trained, does anybody want to overcome that what I taught you? Justin, how about you say it? When somebody says I'm not interested, what have I taught you to say?
Yeah, I totally get that. You know, I haven't given you anything to not be interested in. But in theory, like if I was able to bring your $300 bill down to 150, would that be interesting to you?
Do you guys get that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the interested, not interested, right? So I haven't even, I don't actually understand, acknowledge that they're not interested, and then say, but I haven't given you anything not to be interested in. But hypothetically, if your bill's here and I can cut it here and give me 5 to 10 minutes to have a consultation with you, would that be something you might be interested in?
How effective is it if you don't use your hands?
I used to do not use my hands, and it's just how I kind of.
Was that the first 30 days of not using your hands?
I think it took 2 years. I got that from Andy Elliott, actually.
Yeah.
Andy Elliott, when he first came around, he said use your hand gestures, and I was like, all right. So I started throwing arms and swinging people, and here I am now, just hypothetically, and cut your bill here. It's kind of just worked for me.
Yeah, you're trying to keep people's attention or get somebody's attention if they're just zoned out, wanting to shut the door, right?
Right. How do you change your door-to-door routine, like online or when attracting folks to your team?
Yeah, Jeff was asking that. He's asking, if you're selling, doing or starting conversations online, with homeowners, and then the second part of his question was he's talking about recruiting.
So recruiting is, I guess the first one is really like, hey man, I see that you're in the solar industry. I couldn't help but notice, how are things going? And it's really just starting a conversation. Like I said, I just started social media again. So I just recently started like telling people happy birthday, like when it comes up on their thing, just started a conversation, right? And what I post on my social media, probably I do like the 3-1-1. So I do 3 days of family, 1 day of business, the next day business, the next day business, and I'll do a 3 day straight of all day of about 3 posts of my family to make it seem like I'm a real human being, but I'm still engaged in my business. And then that 1 day that I just post 1 day about solar, I'll just message people. Hey man, I see that you're in the solar industry. How's it going? Who are you working with? How's sales? I just bring it up. How are your business? How are you getting your leads? What field are you knocking? Or just some sort of kind of engagement about the solar industry, and it just sparks it. And then I think just how to close it is just like, hey man, would you be interested in knocking doors with me? Like I have a team of 5 or 7. We're out in the field often. Would you come out? And it just really just brings them out. And 9 times out of 10, they're like, wow, this is really all you have to do. Because again, the other companies just teach them so many bad things to do that how I've done it, it just works. And then when attracting folks to your team.
I think while you're thinking about that, I'll say the difference there is that you invited someone to come do what you're already doing, right?
Yeah.
You didn't
Absolutely.
just tell someone, hey, go collect utility bills. Like, figure it out.
Yeah.
But you're taking them with you, and you're training, coaching them along the way.
Yeah, it's there's so many, I mean, as we know, there's so many smaller mom pop, bigger solar companies, and they all teach them, everybody teaches them different ways, right? What has worked for me has been successful. And I just figured that if somebody at 18 years old who's not educated in business or in utility rates, heck, he probably has never even seen a utility bill. If I can have them focus on a couple keywords and bullet points, it should be an easy close. And then once I kind of have a few and understand it, if they're going to stay, then I can help them gauge that direction.
Yeah. Good.
63
stuff, guys. I think we should probably wrap now, Tom. I think Carlos has to get to his appointment, but thank you to Carlos, and thank you to his team as well. It's Carlos and Posse.